The 5 issues are really good. Every other tie-in issue is fucking terrible.
Ooh,
All right.
that sucks.
Good enough.
Yeah, this is my last Marvel big
bigger.
event because I've been disappointed by the
Do
last
they have any?
2.
Do they have any more big events coming out?
They do, but it's that What If one that I was telling you about.
right.
Very,
So
very
it
cool.
really
Very
like
cool.
What If. I might
Very
read some of the
fucking
What If.
cool. Very fucking cool. We got shit to get through, and we don't have fucking time to do it.
Like first day of math class. All right, we're already behind.
All right, and welcome everyone to this new episode of Drunken Jurors. I am Jeff.
I'm Adam.
I'm Nick.
All right, we're just going to go through what we're drinking real quick before we tell you what we're doing because we got a little bit of a build up here. I am drinking this wonderful, I don't know if you'll be able to see it with the lighting, but it is called Heaven's Door. It is 100 proof double barrel whiskey. Very good. And I'm going to be very drunk at the end of this because I'm going to need it because this fucking story sucks.
I am drinking. I don't know. I mean, I know where I got it from. I got it from someone that was at my house. But a Wicked Grove hard cider. There's 2 bottles left.
I am drinking Jim Beam 100 proof bonded bourbon. I think I liked Evan Williams better. It's not bad. It's got more flavor than Evan Williams, but it's a little bit sharper. I also have Willed Wood Cellars Peach Mead, which I'm about to try, so we'll see how that is.
Oh, I'm also drinking Bud Lights, which I should crack one of those open real quick.
I don't know if I like Camelot better, but this isn't bad.
Nick and I both
haven't-
whipped out the 100 proofs for this because it's we're gonna get violent.
For the record, I have yet to find a mead that I really dislike. Also, Adam is a pixel.
He looks fine for me.
Oh, all right.
All right, so
Yeah, fuck you, Nick.
we got into that quick because we got a lot to go through, and sadly, we have to record something after this. So we are starting a series on Chris Watts. If you don't know what that is, happened in 2018.
Get ready for depression.
Yeah, get ready to be upset, depressed, everything awful. 2018, man that kills his, spoiler alert, kills his wife and daughters, and then the investigation that follows that is fucking wild. It's not like wild, but it's just something. We'll get into it. This could be, I'm shooting for 3 parts. This could very possibly be 4, depending on how these things go. The other 2 parts will probably be almost 2 hours long each if we get them into only 3 episodes. If not, they'll probably be like an hour and a half each, and then the 4th episode that's around the same. Because there's a lot of shit to get into, and I know the second I get into after page 1, I know Nick's gonna start fucking getting into shit. Adam's got some hot takes, basically.
Adam's. I don't know Adam's takes, but I'm judging by that. I'm kind of scared of Adam's takes.
When I sent Jeff my notes, it was 6 notes and said the rest of what I have is just emotional responses to things that happened. So
this is going to be this.
You're going to see parts of us that aren't going to be funny.
This first part is basically going to be setting up everything that happened up until the day of them being reported missing and the police showing up. We might get into one of the interviews with one of the victim's friends. We might, depending on if we can get to it. But my plan for this episode is to get through everything leading up and then what happens on the day that they are called in missing. Episode 2, probably going to be the interview with some of the friends, first interview with the husband, and then the second interview with the husband. Episode 3 will hopefully be then the finding of the bodies, all the evidence, the autopsies, the trial, and then hopefully the psychological eval of Chris Watts and some theories, because the whole entire 3rd book that I read for this, which we'll get into sources here in a second, entire 3rd book that I have is just basically theories and the psychological assessment of Chris Watts. And my source is a 3-part series called In Cold Blood, Discovering Chris Watts, The Facts, Part 1. And then, so the book is set up in basically how we're going to be going through it is the way the book's set up, just because I like it. And I have a lot of quotes, and I'll try to remember to say, oh, this is quoted, but I might not. But just know that a lot of the things I'm going to read for info are going to be direct quotes from people, because this entire book series, the first 2 books, actual police transcripts. Everything I'm watching are the like actual interview videos and press conferences through. I watched like 6 hours of interviews today. I have the 7-hour confession one I have to watch before the like next recording. Yeah, and then just reading a bunch of fucking documents. These two got to read actual or watch actual like books set up that were supposed to explain everything. He listened to a book.
I watched American Murderer, the Netflix documentary. It was a good time.
I read
a lot of the video from that is from actual body cams from police and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's
very good. This is my second time watching it.
I haven't watched it. I meant to. I forgot. I read My Daddy is a Hero by Lena Derhally. It was more of a psychological unpacking by like I think she was a social worker. It's interesting. So
yeah, the book I read, the authors got together,
I didn't
read
know
through
anything
all
about this when I went in. So
they read all the like police reports, official transcripts. They watched the body cam footage and like interviews and stuff, and then just put it into a book. Literally, like there's no writing from them. It's just copy and paste police transcripts. So made it very difficult to read. Main people of this: Chris Watts, who's the husband / the killer; Shannon Watts, wife / victim; Bella Marie Watts, who is daughter / victim; CC, Catherine Watts. I don't know how to pronounce her actual name, but they call her CC all the time.
Cirilla.
Something like that.
Cirilla.
I vaguely remember it.
She's also a daughter /
Celeste. It's Celeste. Cirilla's Siri from fucking Witcher.
All right. Well, that's also a daughter / victim. We'll explain everyone else as we go. Is
it Shannon or Shanann?
It's Shanann.
Because there's two. There's
Shanann.
two. Okay. I always typed it and read it as Shannon, and I thought my narrator had a speech impediment.
No, it is Shanann. So
really specific speech impediment that they only pronounce Shannon wrong. Like
it upset me greatly for the first hour of the book. I was just angry.
Yeah, it's Shanann because in the transcripts it's like, what's your wife's name? And they're like Shanann, like shenanigans, but without the anigans. It's Shanann. Or without the agains, I guess, whatever you fuck want to say. All right, Christopher Lee Watts was born in New Carolina. We're starting off good.
New Carolina. How much
did you
drink while I was gone, Jeff? Yeah. How much did you drink while I was gone?
Enough. In North Carolina on May 16th of 1985 to Cindy and Ronnie Watts. He had an older sister named Jamie Watts. Chris was an oil field coordinator for Anadarko Petroleum at the time that he is arrested. He's basically just a maintenance dude for a fucking oil company is what it seems like.
Woo, big oil.
Big pharma.
Big pharma. Woo!
Big pharma.
I like how that has nothing to do with this.
Absolutely fucking nothing.
Hey, if our audience stays up to date with with all of our episodes, they know that Big Pharma's about it.
Yeah, I'd fuck Big Pharma.
Shanann was born
Big
also
Pharma fucked you.
Shanann was also born in North Carolina on January 10th, 1984.
Same.
Shanann was married to Leonard King in South Carolina between 2002 and 2003. And then they divorced in 07 or 08 because I don't think Nick can actually comprehend when times happen.
No, that was literally the article I read. There was no definitive date for anything about their first marriage.
Okay, well, they had no kids. And then Shannon went into a deep depression until she met Chris. Shannon was an independent sales rep for a multi-marketing company called Lavelle, which I'm pretty sure was just a pyramid scheme on crack.
Yeah, that was 100% a pyramid scheme.
But somehow she was high up in
it may have been a cult. It might have been a cult.
She was high up in whatever that was because she got to go on trips all over the place. But yeah,
my God, dude,
when going through the entire thing, it just every time anyone talks about Lavelle, more and more of a pyramid scheme.
Yeah.
So they met in North Carolina in 2010 and married in 2012. They then moved to Frederick, Colorado, because Fred's back again. We keep trends here. Sadly, they weren't married and divorced 4 times each. So
damn,
we can't keep that trend for this week.
I don't remember this joke, but I would assume it was funny.
Frederick,
remember Ben Fink?
Ben,
Ben.
Fred.
Just Ben.
Everyone was
Ben.
also Fred to you guys.
Yeah. Where was
Yeah.
Ben during this entire story? Yeah, where's Ben?
Ben Fink's alive, and
Ben, I would assume Ben is probably in the like Caribbean, just living life.
Yeah, that sounds like Ben. That sounds like something Ben would do. That sounds fucking sipping on Mai
Hard,
Tais while
yeah,
fucking
I was gonna say hardcore binge
with a
drinking
Cuban
the entire
cigar.
time.
Yeah,
I'd
Oh
really
my
like to
God.
point out very quickly, Jeff, if you at all ever listen to The Last Plastered Paladins, we go into Ben Fink and Nick shits on you a lot.
Wow. I'm gonna have to go into this. I'm assuming Nick was mad that I kept saying that Ben died.
Well, yeah, because Ben's alive. You're lying.
Yeah, all right. We'll get into that in a different episode where I
God,
just
Ben's
beat
a
the
fucking
shit out of Nick.
spiritual hero. It's just a live leak. Actually, no, it doesn't matter. Live leak shut down, so it doesn't matter.
When you're just walking down the street and you change to 144p and live link pops up in the corner.
A Chinese steel worker and live leak pops up above your head.
All right, so they moved to Frederick, Colorado in 2013 and bought a 5-bedroom house, which I don't understand.
For the 2 people in their family.
I would like to point out they probably
Or what? They're planning on fucking like Catholic rabbits?
the master bedroom, and then 1 bedroom is a guest bedroom, and then planning on having kids. And
Well, one of
pretty
them's
sure
her
they
office. I
planned
know
on
that.
having.
Because when you run a pyramid scheme, you need an office.
They first filed for bankruptcy in 2015, and at the time of the murders, they were approximately $70,000 in debt.
Still chugging. He's still chugging. He on X game
Excuse me
mode.
while I open
Get
my
this man
second
some
drink.
milk. Get this man some milk.
I need to open my second drink. Hold on.
This is gonna be a wild one.
All right, so Chris, so this person comes into play in a little Jesus fuck, I can't. I was hoping this was gonna be such a good series, but it is starting off so fucking bad. But we're gonna fight through it, and we're gonna get better with each episode of this series. And this just isn't the one. But we're gonna get you a lot of information in here. Chris met Nicole Kessinger at work in June on June 14th, 2018. And Nick said it's creepy how much they look alike.
Oh yeah, creepy how much Nicole and Shanann looked alike.
Yeah,
They do.
They look very similar.
it's almost like Chris has a taste.
Yeah.
But she comes into play in a little bit. So now we're going to get into everything leading up to the days of the murders. And Nick, this is where you're going to probably be jumping in a lot. I have a lot written out. So on May 29th, 2018, there's a video posted where Shanann showed the reaction of telling Chris that they were having another baby. But in the video, Chris didn't seem excited and seemed actually displeased by this information.
That dude looked like I did when I was told I got accepted into college. It was one of all right, but do I have to?
I would like to point out. I don't know if you've Jeff. Have you seen the documentary?
Yes, I saw it like the day after you told me to watch it when it first came out.
So the first time I watched this, I did not know who was the killer or anything. I knew no information. So I just started making fun of the wife, Nene. I paused.
Say Nene? Did he say Nene?
Shanae. Not realizing that she was the victim here, but the amount that she posts on social media is,
you and Nick are gonna have a good time here.
Oh,
hey,
I
I just fucking went to McDonald's and bought 3 cheeseburgers. Everyone praised me. That's her social media life, and it pissed me off to no end. And I started going hardcore into that, and Morgan was like, "You know she's the victim, right?" And I was like, "I did not." I feel bad now, but still, that doesn't excuse. I don't care what you got at McDonald's.
So we don't make fun of victims, but
we're
gonna talk about
her
this.
friends are awful. I hate every one of her friends. We can talk shit about her friends. Her friends all seem to be cunts.
We could go into her Facebook. We'll just try not to make fun of it too much, but she does.
We can make fun of their friends though.
This
feel like
lady
we can definitely make fun of the fact that you overpost on Facebook in general.
and
that's
it's not just
stupid.
She's not just posting. She's like Facebook living shit randomly throughout the day of like, look at what my kids are doing. It's like, just take a video and post it. Or don't post
fuck
it.
off. No one
Yeah.
cares.
Post it all on one day. Why do you have to give me live updates on your life?
So here's one of the reasons why I don't do shit like that, and why I get irritated when I'm like told to do shit.
It's too
like
late
this
in
for,
social
like,
media to be fucking doing that. This is like Facebook 06
And if you do
bullshit,
that-
not Facebook 2018.
Also, if you do that now, like with pictures and shit, that's what Instagram's for. If you're just posting all the time, that's what Twitter's for. Like,
Instagram's
no one
totally
cares.
look how hot I am and look what I ate.
No one cares. That's a
Apparently
big
it's a
one.
lot. It's a lot. If you want to find out how much it is, go watch the Netflix documentary. Because if you want to get all the points of this, you can watch that and get everything. But we're gonna deep dive into this bullshit because it doesn't give all the details. And there's stuff that's come out since then. So stick around and listen though, because we got some shit going on. Here.
Real quick, she seems like one of those people who would go into extreme detail with her friends about her sex life with her husband.
She does.
Yeah,
And I don't.
She does.
That's one of those things that's like, all right, too much. That's just too much.
She does. There's a point in the interview that the police have with Nicole, her friend Nicole Atkinson, where Nicole says, yeah, she said like before everything seemed to be better before we left for Arizona because she said that they were fucking like rabbits.
Yeah, it's all
That's
in
too
the
much.
it's all in the
That's too
documentary.
much.
Honestly, if and most of her social media life is on the documentary, like it's a lot. She is a very she seems like a very nice person.
She did. She seemed caring. She was a great mother.
Like
Yeah.
a very
Yeah.
good person, just over talkative and oversharing on everything.
Yeah.
What one of those people who, if they came into work and said hi to me, I'd say hi back, and then as soon as they turned their back to me, and be like, "All right, that was way too much. That was just too much for this early in the morning."
All right, so I got a piece of weird information here. I don't know if you guys knew this. So Nicole Kessinger, the one that Chris ends up having the affair with,
Yeah.
in September of 2017. Remember, she met Chris July 14th of 2018. So this is 9 months prior. She Googled Shanann Watts.
Yeah. So one thing about Nicole Kissinger, I don't know if you're gonna go into this yet, but like throughout like their entire affair, she's Googling like affairs with a married man.
Yeah,
She's
we'll get into
Googling.
it.
Yeah.
All right. She's Googling wild shit. Like she looked up wedding
So
dresses
one
like
of the
2 weeks
theories,
before the murders.
so she also
Yeah.
knows before she starts Googling that stuff, she knows that she is basically just going to be a side piece. And then I guess somehow she's probably talking Chris into leaving his wife, which is why we'll get into what we get into later.
Oh,
But
no,
also,
no. Oh,
there's
I know more about this.
Well, it's because I haven't read past the fucking goddamn first interview with Chris. But hold on.
I know.
Hold
okay.
on. And then, goddamn it, you made me fucking forget. Hold on. It's right there. There's a theory that Nicole told Chris that he needed to get rid of his wife and kids.
Okay, so I am not on that Nicole had anything to do with the murders, but
Are there people that are on that?
There's a couple. It's a small theory that's been like debunked, but it's there.
but she was told by Chris. So she says the first time she met Chris, he was at work. They worked together. He did not have a wedding ring on.
Mm-hmm.
He was very
Which
open.
is understandable because of his work.
Well,
That and apparently he'd lost a fuck ton of weight, right? And
Yeah.
like it had to be resized.
Yeah.
But he was open about the fact that he was married, had children, but was in the process of getting a divorce when they met.
Which would have been news to Shanann.
So and he said that they were in the process, like already starting getting divorced. They were completely separated. They were just legally married. So they started dating, and then like her Google search history shows like that she was Googling all these things. She Googled him. She was Googling Shanann. She kept Googling stuff, and it was when they announced their third baby, that's when Nicole was very like, what the fuck is happening here? And because the announcement of the third baby wasn't long before they were murdered. So
It was 15
yeah, it
weeks,
was
15
Yeah.
weeks, wasn't it?
Yeah, she was 15 weeks pregnant.
When they died.
So
but when did she announce that they were pregnant?
May 28th or May 29th is when she posted the video of her telling Chris that they were pregnant. So probably that day.
May,
Yeah, and
June,
when
July, 3 months.
3 months, yeah.
Okay.
All right. So I have just bullet points of dates of going into everything. Nick, feel free to just fucking go in on.
I'm ready
anything
to
you have
get lost in the sauce. I'm ready to
Alright.
get lost.
So this affair blossomed when Shanann left for North Carolina for 6 weeks
All right,
before
I'm
the
gonna stop you right
disappearance.
there. I'm gonna stop you right there.
I
gonna
assumed
stop
so.
you
That's
right
why
there.
I just tried to get through the sentence. Go on, my
All right,
friend.
so if I don't know about you. This as soon as every time this was brought up in the book, I paused. I'm like, why? What?
Well, I'm assuming
Why?
So he probably couldn't get 6 weeks off work because he works for a real company, not a pyramid scheme. So he probably couldn't get 6 weeks off. Also, they're in debt, so he probably doesn't want to take time off work to take a 6 week fucking vacation.
Because she's running a
did you
pyramid
know
scheme.
They had filed for bankruptcy. Like they were dealing with
I did not know.
bankruptcy.
I didn't know
I
that.
literally mentioned that earlier. I said they met in North Carolina, married, blah, blah, blah. They were in debt. They first filed for bankruptcy in 2015. And at the times of the murder, they were approximately $70,000 in debt.
Oh, that's not that bad. I know people with more.
Also, Shanann's new job that she had gotten made her the breadwinner of the family.
Yeah.
Because she was running a pyramid scheme.
There could be underlying jealousy in there as well.
So all right, so
she probably went for the 6 weeks because she wanted the kids to see their grandparents before they started school.
But oh my god! But 6 weeks, 6 fucking weeks, 6 weeks.
That is a long fucking
6
time.
weeks. That's over a month. That's a month and a half.
Mm-hmm.
It's a month and a half. That right there. I never want to victim blame, but if you leave for 6 weeks,
that is questionable.
That's questionable. And if you come back and there's infidelity, you shouldn't be surprised.
I think you should be surprised because that's not at all what marriage should be like.
Well,
it shouldn't be a thing where if I'm left for over 6 months, free game now. Like that's not.
I know like military deployments and longer, but for me, I don't know why.
When you're having,
it's just one of those things that just
marital,
blows my mind.
When you're having marital problems before
yes, that's my problem. You went into this trip having marital problems, having money problems, and then you decided to take a 6-week trip when you're having marital problems, when your husband just lost a fuck ton of weight and is looking foxy as fuck. Your neighbors call him the Silver Fox.
He's a good-looking guy.
Yeah, he is a good-looking dude.
But also like
she's a good-looking woman too, though. Like
yes,
she doesn't look like someone who has
this is a very attractive family.
Yes. This entire documentary though, I was sitting there like Shanann's also cheating on him. Like the whole time that was in my, like she does some weird fucking things that the whole time I was just like she's also cheating on him.
That wouldn't be surprising.
Whether
I'm not
she
gonna
actually was or not, like certain things that she does also lead me to that direction as well. She probably wasn't, but regardless,
I don't want to throw accusations around at her. Like, all right, so Chris saw Nicole. Well, I'll just call her NK so we can separate it from the Nicole later. We'll just call her Kissinger.
I was gonna say, let's just do last names.
Yeah. All right. So
call her Henry for Henry Kissinger.
There you go. Chris saw Kissinger, and every day while she was gone for the 5 weeks before he leaves on the last week. So he saw Kissinger every day, and Shanann immediately knew something. Shanann immediately knew something was off, like the time she got.
Oh, it's
North
Shimon.
Carolina.
God damn it. I don't listen to Michael.
God.
Shimon! There you go.
Some more things happen between the time she leaves and whatnot. But on the 18th of July, Kissinger sends nudes to Chris, which he then hides in a fake calculator app on his phone.
So I wanted to talk about this very briefly. I know exactly what app he did because I used that when I was in high school to hide fucking porn.
Everyone knows what app you use.
Everyone knows exactly what the fuck you're talking about.
Yeah, it's not a great fake app because everyone knows what the fake app is. But
I mean, our parents didn't in 2012.
my parents
That's
also
all
never
that
went on my
mattered.
phone. So
Yeah, that's all that matters is that my parents didn't know what it was in 2012.
It was a solution to a problem that didn't really exist.
Yeah, I was able to put fucking Victoria's Secret pictures and fucking titty pics on there, so it worked.
It made girlfriends. It made high school girlfriends happy, is what it did.
Oh, I was just hiding it from parents and over.
Okay, so Jeff and I know what it was really for.
Okay, I see it. It's all right. Fucking fuck off.
I know your first girlfriend, and I know when you got her.
same. So then on the 24th of July, Messenger Googled, "Man I'm having an affair with says he will leave his wife." I don't know what the search results were for that.
I also know what this is about because when I was in 8th grade, I Googled how to get a girlfriend.
We all Google. We all Google stupid things as men to get woman or
woman. So I don't.
Woman.
I probably should have looked into this, but I don't know what the fuck pops up when you type that in. I'm assuming it's a Reddit.
I got you. No, I got it.
I'm assuming it's
honestly.
I'll bite that.
It's
fucking
probably.
What was the exact phrase?
It's probably Quora.
Here, I'll hold on.
Quora is probably the thing that pops up.
Copy and paste here, Nick.
Chat.
I'm putting it in Discord chat.
Okay,
My bet is Quora. My bet is one of the top 3 answers is Quora.
All right. We'll see. We'll have that conversation, Adam. Man, I'm having an affair with. All right.
Is it Quora or is it Reddit?
Number one's Quora. Number one's Quora.
Fuck yeah!
Nick, that's a shot
I
for
made
you.
an account.
Nick, that's a shot for you.
All right. Number one's Quora. Then Hack Spirit. Then clickrelationships.com. Clickrelationships.com. Flirt Savvy. WBUR.org. Infidelity episodes. Reddit.
Every odd question. Well, every odd question. You find it first on Quora.
Hold on, what is the exact? How will I know if the man I'm having an affair with will leave his wife? It's been ongoing, and we have developed a romance and have fallen in love, and in love with one another. He has kids. Do I ask him, or do I just leave it be? And people are giving real answers. Not fucking home wrecking bitch.
Quora is the Reddit for middle-aged women, and you get some good answers on there.
All right.
I found out a girl in high school actually liked me from Quora. So
wild.
Quora didn't help me in for shit.
So on the 28th of July, they go on a trip to Great Sand Dunes Park where this is where they apparently fell in love.
This man didn't know what the fuck. This man wouldn't know what love is if it fucking smacked him in the fucking dick.
My favorite part.
We'll get into it, but this man is not mentally normal. We'll get into it.
My favorite part about them going on this trip is his phone background. That's just my favorite part of the whole story.
Wait, what's his phone background? Was it his wife and kids?
You'll find out. It's a later thing.
Oh, I'm guessing I'll read into it, but I don't know what it is off the top of my head.
Oh, so when it was either him and his wife and kids or him with his wife or something. But so while she was gone on the trip and he went on this date with Nicole, when Shanann came back from the trip, she noticed his phone background was the sunset or something with the sand dunes. And it was no longer their family.
I'd end up having it be me and my mistress, and I'd forget to fucking change it back. Granted, I'm stupid. So that's how it would go for me.
This man is actually pretty smart, and it seems to me that this is not his first time cheating. And I don't think he's ever been caught cheating. I have a very big feeling that he has been cheating on people his entire life and has always had multiple girlfriends at the same time. And Nick's standing up for this. He's got to get that alcohol flowing.
Yes, I am. Also,
He
my
just
headphones aren't long
he
enough.
just stands up, moves his desk up, and passes out. All right. So then on the 31st of July, Chris goes to spend the last week in North Carolina with his family. During this time, things were obviously off between Chris and Shanann, and as she had already known something was off the entire time from like the day she got into North Carolina, things didn't go well. But from here, we're going to have Nick do a fun segment of what the fuck happened during the 5 weeks of Shanann in North Carolina. We're going to have Nick do a fun segment on what the fuck happened to Shanann in North Carolina. Are we muted? Nick, are you there? Nick?
There we go. All right, what?
Wait.
Sorry, I had to reset. I had to reset my audio software because I changed headphones.
You missed the greatest setup for you to go into something, and then I did it again, and you still didn't reply. We'll do it a third time because third time's the charm.
I had to reset my audio headphones.
Keep all three in the episode.
Oh, I
Keep
will.
all three.
Third time's the charm. Nick, shut the fuck up. You'll speak in a second.
All right.
So on the 31st of July, Chris goes to spend the last week in North Carolina with his family. During this time, things were obviously off between Chris and Shanann. And since Shanann knew from the second that she got into fucking North Carolina that things were off, things were obviously a little fucking weird for that last week. But we're going to have a fun segment where Nick explains what the fuck happened to Shanann while during those 5 weeks she was in North Carolina, since I already explained what happened to Chris.
So while she's in North Carolina, she's staying with her parents. She's fucking big vibing in North Carolina with her kids. She takes her kids to go visit her Chris's parents. To which Chris's mother, so for context, Cece, Celeste has a I can't take myself seriously with the Batman ears.
You got to get the unedited patron version to fucking see this.
Cece
it's like Bruce Wayne turned Mexican and really let himself go.
And went broke.
Yeah. So Cece
moved in with his dead mother.
Cece has peanut allergies that will actually kill her. They're very bad. So when Shanann takes the kids to go see Chris's parents, Chris's mom is one of those people who thinks allergies aren't real. Shanann freaks the fuck out, and Chris still doesn't really give a fuck. He's big vibing, fucking putting his dick in something.
Adam, you
younger.
watched the documentary. It's been a while since I watched it, but isn't there a huge segment on this in the documentary? Can you add anything to this?
Yeah, it's called Nutgate.
Yeah, I mean, it really stemmed a whole argument that, you know, I can't fucking think with Nick laughing. I'm too drunk to have multiple inputs coming in right now. Obviously this is a big deal, and it opened up a lot of old wounds of shit that Chris's mom had been doing to Shanann and the family in general since
Chris's parents are assholes.
Since the relationship started. Yes, Chris's
parents didn't go to the wedding, right?
I don't remember that.
No, I'm pretty sure I read that. No, Chris's parents didn't go to their wedding.
Yeah, no. Like it's been a whole big ordeal between Shanann and Chris's parents, and it's very clear using subtexts that that Chris is a mama's boy. Chris's mama didn't like Shanann, and so that probably I'm trying to reason in Chris's head what was probably going on, why he killed his family. And so in that, mama's boy having a lot of stress put on him from his parents about his family. So already puts an underlying hatred to Shanann, whether he knows it or not. There's an underlying hatred because he looks up to his parents so much and they don't like her. So that's obviously her fault. Like, not true, but like that's just how I could assume he would take it.
That's how it would be rationalized.
Yes, plus on top of that, they're having relationship troubles. They're having financial troubles. Oh, what's this?
They're about to have another kid.
Yeah, they're about to have another kid. What's this? Shanann has a new job and she now makes more money than me. Like, there's a lot of things.
And let's not get this wrong. His job pays probably pretty fucking well.
Yeah, it's a very. I mean,
yeah.
They went through bankruptcy and still bought a 5-bedroom house.
Yeah. Well, I'm assuming that might be why they're
in Colorado.
I'm assuming
Colorado isn't exactly cheap.
I'm gonna say that might be why they're in debt, but
and so like you can see how there can be some underlying hatred to Shanann and his family based on it's all relating to like how like especially like we're coming onto the turning point for men, but how like men are supposed to be in society. And someone who of that age probably has different mindset than what we would, where he has to be the breadwinner. His wife shouldn't even have to work. Like like these are the things that he has to be doing. And when all those fall apart around you and you're mentally unstable in the first place, like it could fucking suck. And it could be a lot for someone to take in. And sadly, he probably found his only way out was to start new. Right, wipe the hard drive clean.
I'm going to put this disclaimer here now. I'm also going to I'm going to like, hold on. I'm going to put this disclaimer now. I'm also going to add this disclaimer. I'm just going to record it and add it in when I go and edit. Disclaimer, this episode is going to be a lot of us saying, like, assuming stuff and trying to process kind of why or how, and then we'll get into the why and how later. But this is us processing, trying to understand that when we say, well, we'll do our best to say I think, or like I assume this is why, we're not rationalizing or saying what he did is okay, but this is our attempt to get our thoughts out, and maybe our thoughts and our thought processes will help you kind of like also try to think of stuff and wrap your head around what happened.
I feel like this is probably the closest we are going to be to ever get to an actual like a drunken jury of like going into the back and trying to rationalize the facts that are coming at us and making a decision.
Well, I'm thinking this might be where we end up going, because I mean, we've done enough recording of me just knowing and explaining to you guys. We'll see how this episode does with our listeners and also just how we feel about it. And this might be a new thing where I will do a majority of the research, but maybe I'll find a documentary, make you guys watch it, or read a different book than me. It's just so we all have info, and then we can actually do these drunken collaborations and see what everyone was thinking. So this episode, for the disclaimer, it is different. This is the first time we've actually all been drunk and informed, and this will actually be us drunkenly trying. Yeah. This will be us drunkenly trying to rationalize what we're thinking and what we read and what info we were given. So this is probably what will end up happening for the rest of Drunken Jurors, because this is probably what it should have been the entire time, is all of us knowing facts, drunken, and trying to explain to each other. But Nick, fucking going.
So after Peanutgate, or as I affectionately call it, Nutgate.
It was only funny the first time.
It was really funny the first time. Also, the reason I found it so funny the first time is because I have Nick's outline pulled up, and I read Nutgate, and I didn't realize that he wrote that the first time. And he said Nutgate as I read. Where is it in here? It's in here. I know it is. Let me try to find the exact fucking. Where is it? I swear I saw Nutgate in here. Maybe you switched it. I don't know. Maybe I deleted it on accident. I don't know. But Nick wrote Nutgate in here somewhere. I read it.
Yeah.
You probably didn't realize what it was and just cut it out intentionally because you're like, this is fucking stupid.
Yeah, probably.
Probably, yeah. Oh, it doesn't matter. Anyway, Nutgate happened, and then a couple weeks later, or like maybe a couple days later, I can't remember, was Cece's birthday, and neither parents showed up because, as we'll soon find out, Chris's father is about as affectionate as a dry wall.
Which I'll get into it when Chris confesses. You see a different side of him. But
yeah, I'd say that's the first time Chris's father ever showed affectionate towards his son, was when Chris confessed.
But we'll get into that in a different
probably.
part.
But Chris's father is one of those good old Southern boys who, if you show emotion, you're weak. If you have mental illness,
perpetuates the male stereotypes that we have in society today. Yes.
If you have depression, you're weak. Women don't abuse men because men are better than women, and women don't abuse men because if you're abused by a woman, you're a weak little sissy boy. Sorry, that really fucking pisses me off. Anyway, then what else we got here?
If that's it, that's it, man. You don't
felt like Chris was ignoring her, and that was probably because he was stooping Nicole.
All right, I'm gonna go back to something that I missed before I said that he left on the 31st. So the day before he left on the 30th, because I'm sure Nick's gonna have a fun time with this because I just read his notes and it sounds hilarious. On the 30th, Kessinger receives multiple love letters from Chris the day before he leaves to go to North Carolina with his family. Nick, would you like to explain something about that?
Trying to get it in.
It's above the things you just read.
Oh,
literally one point above.
Yep. Because I'm looking at this fucking thing that we're both in the same Google Doc. Fun. I forgot about this since high school.
You can see that I'm right here.
Yeah, I see it. Yeah, it's really nice. Chris left.
I hate that because my brother's name is Chris, so fuck you.
Chris left love
and his middle name does start with a J. So
Chris left a love letter for Nicole with lyrics from Down to Earth by the Roots, by Through the Roots. So I thought it'd be fun to listen to the song. This song fucking sucks. I listened to 55 seconds of the song and I wanted to vomit. It's one of
Who's
those
it by?
songs-
Hold on, I got it. I'm pulling it up.
Through
we
the
can't
Roots.
listen to it on.
Oh no,
on air. But
on well,
But you should.
I will edit that part out. But technically, on our unedited, we should be able to.
yeah, we should.
Also, that song sucks.
All right, yeah. So we all just listened to a good chunk of that song. Fucking horrible.
Is anyone else sweating right now?
Oh,
I
so
am
much.
sweating so much.
I just took my pants off because this is so hot right
I
now.
am sweating so much. Do
I'm
we want
glad
to
we
take our
can all
shirts off
agree.
again? We should take our shirts off again.
No.
We did that once
No.
before. No, all right. I mean, I'll just
All right,
sweat
so
here.
Chris went on the 31st after all the shit Nick was talking about. He went on.
He has
31st.
horrible taste in music.
They come back. So on August 9th, Shanann talks to her friends about the problems with Chris, and she ends up talking to him after she talks to her friends and says that things seem to be better. And this is when they apparently start fucking like rabbits. So then on the 10th is when Shanann leaves for Arizona, and where she just does not act like herself at all. From Nicole Atkinson's, who was the one that went with her for this. So they work for Lavelle, which is a Thrive company. So it was a Thrive event. They went down for some work stuff, aka running more pyramid schemes and shit.
Gotta make sure that pyramid stays built.
They planned to go out a lot and stuff. They ended up not going out at all. They stayed at the hotel most of the fucking time, other than like the things that they had to go to.
One thing, to be fair, Shanann should never
To
have
be
gone out
fair.
because she was pregnant. To be fair,
Yeah, she
Shanann
shouldn't.
was pregnant and shouldn't have gone out.
What do you mean gone out?
Getting fucking turned in the club in Arizona.
And they never planned on going out to the clubs. They planned on going out and sightseeing. Because on the last day, their whole plan was they had to check out of their hotel. They had all of them, like the whole day to themselves, because their flight wasn't until later in the night at like 6, 7, or 8 or some shit.
Yeah, it adds up.
And they had to check out of the hotel by like 11 a.m. or some shit. So they're supposed to go out. They literally sat in the fucking lobby of the hotel till they had to be at the airport.
Sounds awful.
And
I had
we'll
to
get-
wait
we
over in
might get-
Amsterdam for 3 hours. That was also awful when I could have been seeing fucking Amsterdam.
Yeah, you could have gone to see the strippers and prostitutes, the window side
didn't-
strippers.
I didn't get to make those decisions in my life at the time.
so
It's your fault.
it's also
Probably isn't.
It was a school function.
Nicole
that sucks.
Nicole Atkinson later says like that on that last day when they were in, like, throughout the time, like, she seemed off, but like not because she was pregnant and didn't want to, like, she thought that like she was pregnant, but like she could still go out and like kind of just sightsee and enjoy, but she just seemed like so mentally not into anything. So
Well, yeah, that's because she was writing letters to her cheating husband.
so
That were very weird. I didn't like the letters. The
The
letters made me
after-
uncomfortable.
So, a little tidbit of information: one of the days that she's gone in Arizona, one of those afternoons, Chris ends up going to it's CERVI, but Servi 319 to repair an oil leak, which will be very, very important later because this is the body dump site.
Yeah,
So
oil
this is
levels.
this is probably where he decides that this is where he's going to dump the bodies.
So he decided that he was going to commit murder while Shanann was on this trip. This is when he decided to do it, which is wild because he picked up a babysitter for
We'll get into
the
that.
kids. Oh, but
We're getting into that right now. The 11th,
All right.
Chris takes Kessinger to Lazy Dog Restaurant and leaves the kids with a babysitter. Now go on.
Twice.
They
By
go
the
to
way.
they go to 2 Lazy Dogs because apparently the menus are different.
So here this is wild. So this is what brings Shanann to accuse Chris
Yeah.
of cheating. This very moment, because Chris takes Nicole to the Lazy Dogs, to one Lazy Dogs close to his house. This entire time he's telling people he's at the Rockies game.
Yeah. By himself.
He goes, but on a work trip.
Yeah. With like one friend
but-
or some shit. Not by himself. He says like with one friend or something.
Yeah. So he takes Nicole to Lazy Dog. She doesn't like the menu there, so he takes her to a Lazy Dog a little bit further away, like on the other side of town.
Because they apparently have different menus, apparently.
Yeah, and she was into the whole clean eating thing. Like, if it wasn't organic, she wouldn't eat it,
Mm-hmm.
which is kind of how their whole affair started, because she went over to his house to discuss clean eating and a workout regime while
Which is
his
weird
wife
because
was
Thrive.
in North Carolina.
Well, Lavelle is also a like clean eating
Didn't
supplements
he
company.
lose a fuck ton of weight
Yeah.
off of Lavelle
Lavelle,
products?
yeah.
So he takes Nicole to the second Lazy Dog, and on his credit card receipt, the purchase for Lazy Dog pops up. So Shanann texts Chris, "Hey, what are you doing at Lazy Dogs?" "Oh, I bought salmon and beer."
And it was a
Lazy Dog."
$60 ticket too.
Yeah, and
Like,
Shanann's
without
like,
the
"Oh,
tip or
okay."
some shit.
And Shanann's suspicious already, so she Googles the price of a salmon and a beer from Lazy Dogs,
And it adds up to like
and
30
it's double.
some dollars.
It's double.
Yeah.
It's double from what the
60 plus
single dinner
dollar.
would be. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's where she goes, "All right, I need to accuse my cousin of cheating. Something's wrong here." And then I'll let Jeff take over there. That was the thing I wanted to take over.
All right. So then on the 12th, Chris takes his kids to a birthday party. And then when they get home, has a 111-minute phone call with Kessinger.
So was it while Shanann was away, Chris had some of those really intimate father-daughter moments with his kids.
Yeah.
So like, I think was this where his daughter's saying like, "You're my hero" or some shit?
I believe so.
And like this is where his daughters had one of those. This is my father.
Because this is probably the only time that we also need to preface they are only 3 and 4 years old.
Yeah.
And this is probably like the first time they've had like alone time with their father.
Yeah, probably, honestly. But yeah, so this Shanann's trip to Arizona was very intimate for the girls. So I'll just leave it there.
So then on the 13th at 1:48 a.m., Shanann returns home to the house. And over that time until Chris left for work that morning at I think it was 5:30 in the morning, her and the two daughters were murdered. But the general public and no one knows that yet, because we're about to get into the fucking day where everything fucking happens. We'll have you reading this first part. But the next thing we're going into here is going to be the 911 call from Nicole Atkinson to about Shanann, who is missing currently. Shanann missing.
Okay.
Granted, we need to put this out there. They have not been missing for more than maybe about 12 hours now.
I also need to put this out there. Ferda.
Nick saluting is not good enough. If you're just going to salute, go fuck yourself.
Fuck yeah.
Hell yeah, brother.
That's empty. That's empty.
I thought he was just shaking up a bottle. Why?
I thought you had a beer. Was just
why did he
fuck
wait
it.
until we recorded this? Puppy? What you doing, buddy? I got big old dog butt over here. Big old dog butt.
I have a huge ass, if that makes you feel
You
better.
have a
don't.
very long back. Shut the fuck up. All right, Adam, if you would like to take us away with Nicole Atkinson, this first part right here.
Do you want me to read the narrator stuff or just the verbal stuff?
Just read it all.
Okay.
Read it in a high-pitched voice, though.
Please don't.
I'll read the narrator as a high-pitched voice.
All right.
Nicole Atkinson calls 911 saying, "Hi, Stacy. My name's Nicole. And I'm calling because I'm concerned about a friend of mine. I dropped her off at her house at 2 a.m. last night because we were out of town together. She's pregnant, and I haven't been able to get a hold of her this morning. And I've gone to her house, and her car's there and stuff like that. But she won't answer the door. She won't answer the phone. She won't answer phone calls. She won't answer text messages. And I'm really, really concerned. She had a doctor's appointment this morning and she didn't go to it. I don't know what to do. I've called him, Chris, and talked to him, and he said that she went on a play date with her other two daughters. But, if she went on a play date, they're both in car seats. Why wouldn't she take her car?"
So I'm upset that you didn't specifically read out loud the ellipses. That's just my...
I'll redo that sentence so Jeff can edit it in.
All right, thank you.
I've called him, Chris, and talked to him, and he said that she went on a play date with her other two daughters.
Huh. Well, I hate that already.
Thank you.
That's how Nicole sounds, though.
Is it?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Just for a heads up, Nicole is at their house right now, like Shanann's house. Shanann's, I think it's a Lexus, is in the garage. The garage door was up, and it's the only car they have that she drives, and both their car seats are in it. Just for a little bit of background information there. Nick, go ahead, and it's your turn to read for the class. Please say organism as orgasm if it is in the sentence.
Also, the narrator needs to have a different voice than the speaker.
All right. And then I said, Chris, could you just... Wait, what? Hold on. I'm reading the right thing, right? I'm sorry.
Yes.
Yeah,
you
so
are.
this isn't like the direct
This
next
isn't-
thing that happens. I cut out.
All right.
I also should have said this earlier. These are all quotes from the actual 911 dispatch call from Nicole Atkinson.
All right. All right. Let me do it again.
This isn't like the entire thing because there's a lot of general bullshit in there. If you
Alright,
want to hear it,
alright.
you can just find it. If you just Google it, it's not hard.
I got you. All right. Let me go again. And then I said, Chris, could you just come home and check she's okay because the shoes she wears every single day are right inside the door. And he was like,
No. And he was like, and he was like a narrator?
yeah. Oh,
Yeah, it's a
I'll
narrator.
be there.
All right.
Well, it's not a narrator. It's still Nicole.
And
She's just quoting
and
him.
he was like, yeah, I'll be there in 30 minutes. Well, that was 45 minutes ago. And I called him and asked him again, can you please come home? And he was, I'm 45 minutes out.
I hate everything about this, but
I'll read the next one.
great, perfect, great. That's exactly what I wanted to hear. So at this point, Nicole has contacted Chris multiple times, and Chris would the first call. It sounded like he was like, "Yeah, I'm on my way," and then decided to finish the job he was doing instead of just leaving right away, and that's why he's late from everything else I hear about this. And when Chris talks about it in one of his interviews, which we'll get to later, it's basically it's the first call. He's like, "Oh, okay, like I'll be on my way," and then just continues to work until he's done to leave. But continue on, and everyone, I'm so sorry. Adam, go ahead.
We're gonna do a little Christopher Walken.
Oh, God.
Oh no.
So
This is going to take 8 years.
So, we were out of town for work, and we flew in last night. Our flight got delayed, and I dropped her off at the house at 2 a.m. She's 15 weeks pregnant, and she wasn't feeling well over the weekend, and she was very, distraught and out of sorts because her and her husband were having issues. So
You got it, bud. Don't worry, I believe in you.
I gotta write my tears to read. So because she wasn't eating or drinking and stuff like that. So this morning I was like, let me know if you need me to take you to the doctor's appointment because you're not feeling well. And
Just so everyone knows, this is actually not a laughing matter, and I'm so sorry for everything that is happening, but this is our type of comedy, apparently, and good luck listening to the next 20 minutes.
and I have called and text. I've come to her house. She's not answering the door. She's not responding to text messages, phone calls. Her other friends have her other friends have reached out to her. None of us can get her to respond to us. They have 2 little girls, 3 and 4. There's no movement in the house whatsoever. And he said she didn't take them to daycare, and he was gonna go on a play date, but they're both they're
I don't know if we can put this in.
they're both in car seats, and her car keys are there, and her car's in the garage.
I don't know if we can put this in.
No, we can. We 100%
I'm down.
can.
Fucking, I'm ready to fucking
Whatever,
scorch with the
fuck it.
career.
We can.
Yeah, we haven't taken off, so we can't go much lower. All right. So that, that part that was just read by what was his name?
Christopher
that?
Walken.
Greatly by Christopher Walken. Thank you for guessing on this to read that for us.
This is not a laughing matter, but we were laughing at Christopher Walken himself.
Yeah.
No, yeah. Uh-huh.
So yeah, this was Nicole Atkinson explaining. Basically,
Crying so much.
Yeah, I'm fighting through the tears to read. Fuck off. This is Nicole Atkinson calling in and talking about the last time she saw Shanann, which was when she dropped her off the morning.
That remarkable reading
this
by
morning,
Christopher
basically.
Walken impression done by Adam.
And just basically stating that she dropped her off that morning, and later in the day now, she hasn't heard from her. She didn't go to her doctor's appointment.
Fucking I'll do it. Ferda.
No, well, that's fine. You'll get to that when we get to it. There's no actually, I don't think it's not really another quote for a while, so you can fuck off. So after that, after the dispatch call, officer, I don't know if this is Conrad or Coonrad, but this is how it's spelled. It's spelled COONRAD.
I'm pretty sure it's Conrad.
I hope so.
No, it's Coonrad.
We're gonna call him
Oh
Conrad.
no. Yeah, we're gonna call him Conrad for.
Sorry if we're
reasons.
incorrect, but Coonrad sounds bad. So we're gonna go with Officer Conrad. Sorry if it's incorrect. So I don't need to be sharing this now. Officer Conrad arrived at the Watts house at 2825 Saratoga Trail in Frederick, Colorado, where he met with Nicole Atkinson and her son Nicholas to perform a welfare check for their friend Shanann Watts and Shanann's two daughters, Bella and Cece. The officer showed up. He checked through the windows and the back door. They were all locked. He explained that he could not break in without something of concern, so he would need Chris's permission to enter the property, which is true. If he doesn't have probable cause to enter the home, then there's no way that he can get in there without the actual owner's consent.
So this is where we get to free legal advice with Nick. Let's assume that the vast majority of our listeners aren't murderers. If an officer asks to come into your room, you say, or your home, you say no unless he has a valid warrant.
Yeah.
That's free legal advice with Nick.
To be fair, this is like one of the first time we've actually had a cop do his job correctly in any of these stories. So
No, we had a couple.
Because if he had entered the house alone, all of the evidence would have been thrown out.
Most of them have done their job correctly. They just do it like a fucking dumbass.
Yeah. So wrong.
Yeah. But also he doesn't, as we'll get into this in a minute. So the officer then called Chris himself and asked for the garage door code, which I don't know why he needed that when the garage door was open. Because Nicole was in there looking at the car. So.
Oh, wait, she had a code?
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, I don't think she had a code. They talk about it later, but apparently the door didn't close when Chris left in the morning. So the door was just open like all day. Chris stated that it was faulty and didn't work from the outside, but he was only about 5 minutes away. Soon after Chris arrived home, he strode confidently up to the officer, shook his hand, and introduced himself before opening the garage door and rushing inside. All right, apparently it did close, but there's a thing where like it said that it didn't close on his end with like the app he had for the garage door or some shit.
Oh, Mr. I have a smart home.
Yeah, basically.
What a bitch.
I'm only $70K in debt, but I can afford all these smart things on my 5-bedroom house in Colorado.
But I can avoid an LG nest that lets me sync my fucking home to my fucking menstrual cycle.
Huh.
that would be great as a man to know when my girlfriend's having her period.
Based on the temperature of your home? Nutmeg, fuck off.
Is she on her menstrual cycle? It'd be nice if you had a home that could tell you that.
So the neighbor Nate came over and said that he had checked his CCTV camera and had seen a white car dropping Shanann off during the early hours
He
of
is
the
a
morning.
nosy motherfucker, for the record.
Kinda, not really. Nicole informed him the car was hers as she dropped Shanann off from the airport. Nate said that there was no other vehicles picked up on the camera apart from Chris's truck backing into the garage at around 5:30 in the morning. He offered for the officer to view the footage. Then they go in and they do like a little quick search of the house. Nothing appeared. Chris confirmed that nothing was missing except for the girls' blankets on their beds. But also a weird thing is that his bed, the one that him and Shanann sleep in, is completely stripped and everything is thrown in the corner.
Yep.
So going back to the camera, like the guy in the documentary.
We'll get back to it.
Oh, like so.
We're gonna get into it here in a second. So,
well, he wasn't a stalker, like, or a creepy neighbor.
No, he just had like a Ring doorbell.
Yeah, he had a
basically.
Ring doorbell and could see, like, he had it set so the camera started recording.
Okay.
Yeah, no,
I
it
thought
was
he
set
had
up
like
to
checked
pick
it
up any
that morning.
motion.
I thought
No.
it had picked up like it was his morning ritual to see what the fuck his neighbors were doing.
No. He just has a video
right.
recording of it on his phone because the distance set off a recording.
It records any motion within a certain distance of the camera.
That'd be so annoying.
So
you can set the distance.
Yeah.
Oh.
So after a few minutes of searching, Nicholas, who is Nicole's son, found Shanann's phone between the cushions of the sofa. Chris didn't know what the password was, but Nicole said after speaking to Shanann's mother on the phone, it was the due date of their unborn son, and that was correct. So Chris gave the officer consent to look at the phone.
Does this bitch change her passwords often?
Probably.
What the fuck? My password's been the same since I bought my first fucking touchscreen anything, which has been about 10, 15 years.
People guess my password a lot, so I had to change it.
I don't know your password. I just get you to unlock your phone and then I add my fingerprint to it.
That is true.
What?
That I haven't been able to do it with your new phone yet, but your old phone, I did that a lot.
So no calls have been made that morning. Chris continually switched his attention between Shanann's phone and his own and distractedly answered questions about Shanann. He was really odd during this entire process. He calmly explained that Shanann's flight had been delayed and so she hadn't arrived home until around 2 a.m. By that time, he was already asleep. The last time he saw her was before he left for work at 5:30 in the morning. And he said, "You told me she went on a play date with the girls," Nicole interrupted, and Chris nodded his head. "That's what she told me. She left to go to her friend's house with the kids. That's why they weren't at school." Boom. So during this time, Chris seemed on edge, but the officer probably suspected nothing more than a husband and father worried sick about his missing family. But when you come down to it, we know exactly why he was worried. He assumed that they were going to find something. So the question really about this is, did the police act appropriately with allowing Nicole, her son, and Chris into the house during... Technically, it's not a crime scene, but if you're going to do a search, are you really going to allow other people and civilians in to possibly contaminate if it is a crime scene?
How new were the cops?
Don't know. I'm assuming not new though.
Okay, so I could see. So right now, working security, I can definitely see like there's been a few moments of like, and you just get uncomfortable and just kind of let a couple things happen, but you keep a more watchful eye. Like if they just barged in and you're like, it's not that big of a deal, but at the same time, they're not following the rules necessarily. And you just are uncomfortable and don't know, like, all right, you just kind of go with it versus.
Yeah.
Also, my job isn't a police officer. They're walking up to a counter and walking away. So
Yeah, I don't know. This is a thing that I feel like you would wait for backup, make sure no one else comes in, and then maybe go into the house. Because you should always probably, especially in this situation, where you should probably clear a house. If this is a missing person, and
But also, it's not a missing person.
yeah, but like no one's heard from them or anything, you should probably like. I'm not saying like draw your gun, go in and clear the house. I'm saying go in, call people's names, go
I would
through
walk the house by myself before anyone came in, just to make sure.
I'm trying to remember.
Lunatics in there.
I'm trying to remember the documentary. I think they just walk in.
They do.
Yeah, like
they all four of them walk in together. Chris walks in first, and the cop, and then Nicole and her son walk in behind.
Yeah, because I know there's phone footage from Nicole.
Yeah, the documentary is mostly the first half of the documentary is all from body cameras from.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Nicole, like, there wasn't like a question or anything. I think Chris walks in, the cop walks in, and then Nicole just follows. And I don't think there's ever like a conversation about it at all.
Chris walks in, and then the cop asks him, he's like, will you allow me to come in? And he says, yeah, that's fine. And then he goes in, and then that's when they all start searching for stuff, like together.
I can see it if the cop's by himself, and technically this isn't a missing persons yet. Like I could see like an uncomfortable, like, they're not supposed to be here, but it's also not my home, and this isn't a missing person. If Chris isn't going to throw a shit fit, then it's not that big of a deal.
Right.
Like,
yeah. Hold on, give me a second here.
I feel like at this moment, how long is someone have to be missing for it to be a missing person?
24 hours. 48. So, I thought it was
48, but I just wanted to make sure.
No, yeah, Jeff's right.
It's like 24 for kids and 48 for adults or something.
Something like that, yeah.
So I could see like this is less than like 12 hours, right? Like this is so I could.
Yeah, they're there at like noon or something.
Yeah, I could definitely see like the cop being like, this is up to Chris. Like if Chris tells me I don't want these people in my house, I'm gonna tell him to get out. But if Chris doesn't say anything, then this isn't an issue.
Yeah.
Because if Chris has nothing to hide, then he has nothing to hide. So
after a while of searching around, they end up going over to the neighbor's house to look at the CCTV footage, aka basically a Ring doorbell. Almost immediately while they're watching it, Chris begins just talking about what he unloaded into his truck that morning while they're watching the recording of him unloading his truck. And the officer then goes on to ask, like, hey, is this continually recording? And Nate says, yeah, it's a motion. And then, so basically any motion event that happens, it starts recording. So literally a Ring doorbell. And it captures Chris at about 5:17 in the morning is what they say. And at this point is when Chris starts to actually watch the footage of him reversing his truck into the garage. And he starts talking. He's like, I usually park out on the side. I just wanted to get everything brought in from my truck or into my truck. It's easier than running everything out there with all my tools that I had to bring in. Then he places his arms over his head and continues to talk, and his body language becomes increasingly agitated as they continue to watch more footage. Then they go back a little bit more. Okay, this is Shanann at the door at 1:48 a.m. And then it doesn't pick her up actually going into the house. So I don't know if maybe it just cut footage because she was standing there so long and then didn't pick her up walking in. And then it says at 5:27, the garage door was left open. And that's when Chris left. It was left open and then didn't close, basically. It's a lot of weird random stuff during the CCTV thing. They keep hopping back and forth and stuff. So the officer, after watching it, says, hey, I appreciate your time. He says that to Nate. And then Chris turned to Nate and shook his hand and said thanks. And then he leaves. like rather fast. Like Chris like says thanks and then just like leaves like straight away, like doesn't even wait. The officer stays back and says, do you just want to go talk to him? I'm just gonna get his info real quick. And then he gestures towards Nate, and that's when Chris leaves. He says then Chris left, and then Nate says, hey, he's not acting right at all. And then he's rocking back and forth. He never takes his stuff in and out of the garage ever when working, because he obviously looks at all the film that he gets from it being triggered. It says like he came from like down the street, and then the other thing that doesn't make sense is why would he pull past this certain section and back like basically how he backs in, because Adam, you saw the video, is he has a truck and it's like isn't it like a lifted truck too? Like it's pretty like it's like lifted or something.
I wouldn't I don't know whether it was lifted. God damn it. I don't know whether it was necessarily lifted or not, but it was
A bigger truck.
I mean, it's a bigger truck, but I don't remember the brand or anything. I don't know if it's supposed to be that high.
I think it's
or
I think it's like a Ford F-250 or something.
It's not like odd thing, like,
but
it
he
didn't look out of
basically
sorts.
well basically how he backs up though is he backs like the entire bed into the garage.
Just the bed?
Yeah. Well, if you have a lifted truck, like you can't get
Yeah.
the cab in to most garages.
Yeah.
But like,
Nick, imagine my Jeep, but as a pickup. Like my
Yeah.
Jeep was lifted, so.
and then the officer just asked him, he's like, hey, you able to record this? And he says, yeah. He's like, hey, just watch him get out. He walks back and forth a couple of times. To be completely honest with you, my wife and I were kind of wondering when she was on vacation if something had happened, because I've heard them full on screaming at each other at the top of their lungs, and he gets crazy. The officer's like, does he? And is that pretty recent? Nate replies, yeah. We were asking if she went and visited people because she wanted to get away from the situation. So this shows that before she left for Arizona, that her and Chris were having like literal verbal altercations that were loud enough for their neighbor to hear.
He's across the street.
I don't think he's across the street. I think it's next door. Adam, do you remember from watching the CCTV? They're next door, right?
So, yeah. Because
if they were across the street, I think he would have caught a body being lifted into.
There's multiple camera angles. There's a camera angle of the driveway where, like, if my hand is the pickup and like my wrist is the bed towards the garage, like there's a camera angle that is just fucking like that. Like you can kind of see the bed. But
that's next door neighbor.
Here's the truck. It's like next door, but it's like on the grass, like literally next to the garage or next to the driveway.
It's like an actual security system, yeah.
But then there's other camera footage of like a Ring doorbell. So I don't know. I'm not 100% on
that. Then Nate goes on to say, like, it just seems kind of odd to me. Why would he pull the truck up? Like, I've never seen him pull it back into the driveway ever. I've never seen him like unload stuff or load stuff into his truck. He normally just walks back and forth from the garage to his truck, loading his stuff into the truck every morning. Because he catches him every morning. Like when he walks up the driveway, obviously the motion sensor goes off. Basically, Nate just tells him like, hey, like something has to be going on because this 100% is not normal. And then when he goes back to the house, Nicole points out like a red thing on the stairwell that they think might be blood. The officer goes, looks at it. He's like, it looks like a piece of wax or something. It's not blood. I don't see any signs of a struggle. Nothing's broken. Which, great. I understand. Like maybe you're a seasoned police officer and like that's something you can determine. But also with you being a police officer and the fact that they will be bringing CSI CSI techs on, it's not everyone knows who is a police officer. You don't get to determine that. Like that is 100% the crime techs that get to determine what is what, because they'll take a sample of it. You don't get to just be like, probably wax, not blood. Like
Yeah.
So then the next day at approximately 11:45 a.m., which is now the 14th of August 2018, Officer Kate Lanes and other police officers come with a search and rescue team and canines to the Watts residence to continue the search for Shanann and the two girls. Chris was at this point preparing to do an interview with local news channels. He gave permission for them to enter the property, and he then arranged with the camera crew to do the interview outside on the driveway instead of in his house. I don't know if you guys have watched that interview.
It's in the documentary.
Yeah, it's
I saw like a screen cap of it.
It's
very reminiscent of Jordan Peterson.
mhm.
Not Jordan Peterson. Jordan Peterson's the fucking 12 rules of life.
You're talking about Drew?
Drew Peterson, yeah, that dude. Because I grew up watching the Drew Peterson bullshit. And that he was one of those chuckle fucks who was doing those interviews while fucking his wife's dead.
So
Well, he killed her, so yeah.
Yeah, well, both of them did, and they're both doing interviews.
So before the interview, Chris gives them some articles for the dogs to sniff to, go do their whole search. So upon entry, Officer Lyons noticed a strong smell of cleaning chemicals, which makes sense from the fact that they literally left the crime scene the night before and gave Chris an entire night in the house by himself to wipe away any evidence or anything.
Yeah.
Everywhere was spotless, and marks on the carpet confirmed that it had been freshly vacuumed. Chris mentioned that he had made the girls' beds that morning and had done the laundry. So he went from doing when Conrad showed up, their beds were unmade and the blankets were missing. So they come back the next day, beds are made with blankets. This dude literally vacuumed, cleaned the entire house, everything. Basically got to get an entire night to wipe any evidence of anything that happened.
I don't.
Yeah.
So here's where it's real weird. Like, I don't like. This was a bad situation but at the same time, the cops weren't not doing their jobs.
No, I'm not saying they did their job wrong.
Yeah,
I'm just saying, like, the reason that this is so shitty
Like,
is
this
because of the
is-
fact that they had no real telltale to make it a crime scene. Like, they did everything right.
This is just like a bad luck kind of situation of like, should you have done that? Like, should you have let him do that? No, but at the same time, these aren't missing people, and he's not a murderer.
Say Nicole would have called the day after she actually called, saying that they were missing and stuff, and the police showed up. They probably would have made it a crime scene because that was the last seen spot, and there were kids involved. Yeah, they hadn't been seen. It probably actually becomes a crime scene at that point.
Yeah,
this is about 12 hours too early.
So during the press interview that he's doing while the canines are going around and everything, Chris states, quote, that's what started to concern people, unquote. Not that's what started to concern us. That's what started to concern me. That's what started to concern people.
Because it didn't concern him. It's what
he knows what happened.
He observed other people being concerned.
I think in the documentary they explained like that because like they had a major argument, and that her deciding to go to other people and not really contact him for a couple days is like normal.
Yeah, I'm not saying like. So the thing that sucks about this is you can't judge other people's grieving. Everyone grieves in a different way. So him saying that it could just be like he's now talking to the press. He's going through a shit ton of stuff. He doesn't know where his wife and kids are. He just misspoke because he's not thinking straight. But looking back on it and looking at that is like, oh well, obviously he's not concerned.
But like at the time, like I could like I'm like I mean it's odd, but like when my girlfriend's pissed off, or like whether it's at me or in general, she needs like 1 or 2 days to like collect her thoughts, to get to figure shit out before she's ready to talk. And if that's how Shanann was, then I could definitely see him being like, it's been 12 hours, like we just had a major argument last night or something. Like this isn't like out of the ordinary. This is something that could actually happen depending on how she deals with stress and anger versus like he's probably
when being brought up that you want to separate, like, don't you just want to get out right away after that? If someone's like, I don't want to be with you, like, I think we should separate, do you really want to stick around that person?
Yeah, but Shanann's came out and said, hey, she's fighting for her husband, so
well,
she's
and
not
I
just
would
gonna
say
walk
like
away.
I obviously none of us were there for those conversations, and depending on how they feel, like I could definitely see it being like, well, if one of us wants to separate, like it's no secret, I've talked about before, like Morgan and I have broken up and we've gotten back together and when we separated, it was definitely like she was kind of like, I want to be separated, and I was fighting to keep something there for that during that breakup. And like
your camera's wild right now.
Yeah, no, I'm currently watching the sun come in. I'm godly.
But yeah, like I could see like if one person wants to still fight and try and make it work regardless of the issues that you're having, and one person is kind of like fed up with the problems that are happening, like I could see like it's just two completely different ways that people are processing
information.
the situation. And
all right, well, I mean, that is the end of part 1. That is everything that happens on the first day when they get the call, and then the start of the second day.
Jeff
Part 2
doesn't want us to do more narration.
There's no more narration written down. That is literally the end of my notes. So I did skip a lot of narration though.
Why?
Because there
That's
are really big ass
bullshit.
parts, and I don't have time for you guys to read something that would take about 5 minutes.
No.
Take 15.
I had another voice in store.
Yeah, it was.
That's fine. That's fine.
fucking...
Next episode starts with Nicole's interview with the police. So works
and
out.
Nicole
Save
will
it for
be
them.
read by Captain Kirk.
There you go.
No. Nicole's going to be read by Al Pacino.
Jesus
Oh,
fuck, this will be great. But yeah, so that's the end of that. That's the end of the day of them calling in the missing people, and the start of the second day. At the end of the second day is when Nicole goes in to talk to the police. So that is where we will pick up on part 2, and then we will get into some more stuff, aka Chris's first interview with police, and then his second interview, which is the confession interview. But yeah, I mean, what do you guys got so far?
Scent of a Woman's an amazing movie.
What the fuck are you talking about?
That's that Pacino line. Ooh, that's Scent of a Woman.
All right, fantastic.
I don't like Al Pacino. I just know the line.
Nick, you no longer get ending thoughts. You're done.
Will you tell that to God who's peering through my window?
It's Egyptian. We know your marketing schemes. I got nothing.
It's understandable.
I spoke like Christopher Walken.
That's understandable because I'm assuming the end of the last part we do is going to be a lot of us just being mad and talking about all the bullshit. So thank you everyone for listening to part 1 of our Chris Watts series. If you words and stuff, follow us on social media anywhere. Look up You Hate to See It. Specifically on Twitter, it is at YOUH82CIT. You can find us anywhere that podcasts happen or are put onto, some would say.
What's
Jeff's
happening right now?
Jeff's
drunk.
Jeff is drunk and is having strongs right now. I cannot remember how to do his outro. But basically, after if you want to listen to the fucking podcast, one, if you're at this point, you're already listening to it. Continue to listen wherever you're listening. But if you would like to help us out, you can go to Podbean, type in You Hate to See It up in the upper right hand corner. There's a become a patron button. You click on that, you pay a certain amount of money. At $3 tier, you get to watch the unedited videos of our recordings, which this one will be 3 different segments fucking smashed together. It's gonna be lit. But
I changed into a polo like halfway through, and the sun.
yeah, we all pissed on ourselves halfway through recording.
I almost put the t-shirt back on from.
I can't do anything about the sun.
Close fucking line, but we'll get over that at the end of the episode anyway, so I don't give a fuck. Nick, do your fucking bullshit, stupid thing.
Professional stage. Have any? Okay.
God, I can't wait. Well, I'm glad only during one track I have to change Adam's fucking pitch and compressing this shit, but deal with that at a different point.
Pog.
Adam, do your stupid thing.
You just did. What do you mean? You want me to do it again?
Stupid bitch!
There we go. Thanks everyone for listening. We appreciate you, and we look forward to part 2.